Hello everybody, I am Tiffany and today I'm doing something I haven't done in I think over a year now, which is crazy, but I am finally doing another book haul! Woo! Yes, finally I am doing another book haul. This one doesn't necessarily include movies, unfortunately. I haven't really bought DVDs in a while, so I really don't have a physical thing to actually symbolize me watching movies. But I do get your suggestions and I do write them down, and then I go on different websites like Netflix and Hulu and all that to find them and watch them, and I want to do reviews on them. So I got a whole bunch lined up coming your way soon. So this book haul is really focusing on all the books I gathered really over this past year, which is crazy. And I just want to thank you guys for sticking with me and always give me your suggestions. I love them, and trust I have all of your book recommendations too. I'm just excited for what's to come for this channel. But continue to give me your suggestions and I'll definitely go out there and do a review for you. Let's go ahead and get into this because I have way too many books to talk about. Let's go! The first book I am hauling today, I may have hauled it, I don't think I have before, but I got this actually as a birthday present a while ago from Eddie. Hi Eddie! It is Baron and Luthien J.R.R. Tolkien. I'm a big fan of Lord of the Rings. I do have reviews on the other books and combines that review with watching the movie. So go ahead and check those out. I'll leave a link for them in the description below. Baron and Luthien is one of these stories from the Lord of the Rings world. And I'm super excited about this because it's a love story about elves. And I love elves. Legolas, let's go! But it's not about Legolas. It's a love story though that takes place in this world, I believe. So thank you Eddie for giving me this book. Love you. The next two books that I have are books that complete a series on my shelf. I have not started this series yet, but now I have all of the books except for the new one that came out. They keep doing that now. I get the whole series and I'm excited because I have a complete series on my shelf, but then they randomly release a new book 5 years later. And I'm like, excuse me, I just had it completed and now I don't. These books are Hollow City and Library of Souls. Ooh, these complete the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series, at least number 2 and number 3. So now I at least have the original trilogy and I can't wait to pick up Map of Days 2 and complete this series and complete my completionist status. Woo! Slowly making my way through series, people. The next two books that I have are the start of a series that I wanted to read. It's a fantasy series. It looks awesome. There's one more book out, I think, that I still have to get, but it just came out. This series is Truth Witch and Wind Witch. Ooh, Truth Witch is the first book, Wind Witch is the second book, and they have another one out called Blood Witch. I have wanted to read the series. I love the cover. It looked so interesting, and I've been making sure that I don't know too much about it going in because I want to be surprised. If I haven't started a series, I'm gonna make sure I don't know much about it. That way when I go into it, I'm just like, whoa! Especially in a fantasy book. I was so happy that I got these two books. I haven't even read them and I'm this excited about it because I know it has great praise, and Sarah J. Maas did a blurb on the back. I love Sarah J. Maas. The next book that was recommended to me, this is a mystery book, contemporary as well, I believe. This book is One of Us is Lying. That's right, I know how popular this book is, and I have made sure that I have stayed clear of spoilers, so no spoiling, por favor. Thank you very much, I appreciate it. I don't know much about it. I do believe that, of course, I'm guessing it involves 4 people. Someone is lying. That's what I know. And I'm super excited to dive into this and really get into a nice mystery. The last mystery book I read, I believe, was The Leaving, which was a little bit weird, but I really am ready for the super awesome mystery book that can just take me by storm. I grew up reading Nancy Drew. That started my love of books. I would love some good mystery books that make me go, and I think this one may do that. The next book that I have is also one that's more of a thriller. I know it's very intense, and I know it was super popular when it came out, and yes, I have not read it like a billion other books I should read, but at least I have it and I'm gonna read it. This book is called This Is Where It Ends, which is about a school shooting. School shootings especially have gone up a lot recently. There's not a lot of books that go into this topic a lot, and I am nervous to read it because I know it's probably going to be intense, but I'm also excited to read it. These next couple books, I think you guys are going to be happy that I have on my shelf because I know the book reviews I did for it are really, really popular. There are so many books in this series, and I'm quite intimidated because the last book did not impress me, as you can watch in my videos. But these are the dun 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 dun. That's right, Vampire Diaries. I have the whole rest of the series just for you guys. I'm a completionist and I want to finish it, even though these books kind of are torturing me a bit, but I have all of them. That includes Shadow Souls. That's right, that's Damon on the cover. I approve of this cover. The Return Midnight. Think that's Bonnie. Potentially. It's weird because I'm not used to her being a redhead still. The Hunters, which is the next part of the Vampire Diaries series. The first book being Phantom. Moonsong is the second book. And Destiny Rising is the third book. Oh, but it's not done yet. No, it's not done yet. We also have The Salvation Unseen, The Salvation Unspoken, and finally, The Salvation Unmasked. That is 8 more books I have to read in this series. I'm going to be tortured, and this is for you guys, okay? So there is going to be a period of time where you literally see just Vampire Diaries books because I'm going to power through them when I get to them and finish them all in a row. Wish me luck on my endeavors. This next book is completing a series. There's only 2 books in this series. It's a duology. I read the first book and did a review on it way back when. This book is Witchwood by Tahira Mafi, which is the sequel to Furthermore by Tahira Mafi. This is her other series besides Shatter Me. The first book is wonky. It's not for everyone, but it was fun. It's a middle grade book, I believe. It's a little bit more fantastical. It's a light read overall, but I still enjoyed it because it was different. But yes, I thought that the Furthermore book was just going to be a standalone, and I remember reading it and thinking that it didn't feel complete enough. So the fact that she actually did a second book to it, I'm really excited about, and I'm ready to read it and dive into it and see if I like it better than the first book, or if I like the first book better. It's just such an interesting world and very creative. The next book that I have is also completing a series on my shelf. I've only read the first book in the series. It's a trilogy and it's a contemporary trilogy, which I have not ever done before, and I'm very excited about. And this book is Still Me by Jojo Moyes. I've only read the first book, which is the very popular Me Before You. There's a whole movie on it with Emilia Clarke. I did a review on that. I'll leave a link to that review in the description below. There is one before this called After You, and then I found out there was a third. And I was just like, oh my gosh, okay, I gotta go get the third book now too. I loved Me Before You overall. It's a great book. I highly suggest you go read it if you haven't. Also go check out the movie. The movie is really, really, really good, and I was very impressed with how they adapted it. It follows a girl named Louisa who ends up going to take care of a guy who ended up being in an accident a while ago, and now he's quadriplegic. He's paralyzed from the neck down. And it's her story and experiencing that. And again, like I said, I've only read the first book, so I don't know what happens in the second or the third. Please do not spoil me for it. Third book in a series. Woo-hoo. This next book is also completing a series on my shelf. I've only read the first book in this trilogy, and I loved the first book in this trilogy, and I have a review for that one. But this book I'm talking about right now is Obsidio, which is the third book in the Illuminae trilogy. Loved, 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 loved Illuminae. One of my favorite books I have read. I've hauled Gemina before, but I got the third one too because of course I'm finishing this. They all take place around the same time, but I believe it's different perspectives of one event, so you don't follow the same characters, and that's really cool to me. I like those type of stories too. I don't want to spoil really anything about Illuminae. You should just jump in and read it. That's how I did it. It is written like computer files though, so the books go very, very fast because you are reading basically computer files. So I'm very excited to get back into the series whenever I do. I'm excited! Yay! This next book is definitely an oddball one. I've had this on my shelf for a while. It is a collection more of short stories, but I think what I'm going to do is either finish the whole thing and then discuss it in an overall general viewpoint, or maybe split it. I'm not sure. But I know I'm not going to just stop at every single story because there's a lot. Because this is the Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales collection. That's right, look how beautiful this cover is. I've had this for a really, really, really long time. I was always super curious about how the original fairy tales went. I am curious about this, and I'm really interested to see how it is compared to some of my favorite stories from Disney and other just fairy tale stories in general. These next 3 books are a series that I have been wanting to read for a long time, and I was so upset because when I got them, it was another case of it was supposed to be just a trilogy, and then they decided to expand it recently, and now it's not just the trilogy, so now I don't have the other book! Oh my gosh, isn't this a theme? And that is the Shatter Me series, woo, by Tahara Mafi. This includes Shatter Me, ooh, look at the eye, Unravel Me, and Ignite Me. I've only read 1 book by Tahara Mafi. It was Furthermore, but I haven't read the Shatter Me series yet. I know, right? Good job, B. But I wanted to get the full trilogy, and now I have the full trilogy, and I can just read it all in the row, which is so nice. I love when I can do that. I don't know much about it. I don't want to know much about it because I want to be surprised. I know there's powers involved. That's about it. That's all I want to know. No spoilers, alright? No spoilers! These next couple books I believe I got back in Florida. They were doing a sale of buy 2 get a 3rd free at Books A Million because Books A Million is amazing. The first one is American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I have not read this, I know, right? I know there is a sequel called The Anansi Boys, and I know there is a show on Stars. This is one of the most highly acclaimed books out there right now. Neil Gaiman is a fantastic author. I've read the Graveyard book by him. I love his writing style, and I haven't read a Neil Gaiman book in a very long time. I figured this one was a great one to start off on. This next book is also the start of a really acclaimed series, and it is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. Everybody loves this series, and I am super excited. I don't know much about it. Again, I don't want to know much about it. I think it's sci-fi fantasy. I think it takes place in space, but that's all I know, and that's all I really want to know. I'm super excited. I know this book is super popular, and this is one I've had on my TBR list for a very long time, and I was happy it was on sale, and I could get the first book. This next book is also a book that's been out forever, and again, it was part of the sale that was going on at Books A Million. It is the Selection, that's right, by Kiera Cass, and this is a very interesting series because people love it and hate it at the same time. It's addicting but annoying is the vibe I get from it. I know there's a billion books and she can't make a decision. I love the cover, I love that dress. I wanted to give it a shot, even if I'm annoyed insanely by it. I figured it'd be an interesting read. Don't tell me anything about it. This next book was fun for me because this one I actually got at Comic-Con when I went way back when. I didn't want to leave Comic-Con without buying anything, so of course I got a book. And the book I got is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I have wanted to read one of her books forever, and I have not read one of her books, and I figured this would be a great one to start off on. This one, I believe is going to be a trilogy, but there's 2 books out now. There's Vicious and Vengeful. I only have Vicious. I'm super excited about it. I believe it follows the villain. I just can't wait to read this book. I don't know much about it again. Please don't spoil me. But I know V.E. Schwab is great at twists and turns and just writing fantastic books. The next book is also rounding out a series. I have not read the series yet, but at least I have the whole series. It's a duology. This is Wildcard by Marie Lu, which is the sequel to Warcross, which, as you guys know, I have been so excited for, and I still have not read it, which is very sad because Marie Lu's like my favorite author ever. But I'm gonna get to it. It's coming up. I'm so excited, and now I have the sequel, which makes me happy. Yay! These next 2 books are the start of the series. I don't have the 3rd one, but I believe it's only going to be 3. And this is Caraval and Legendary. And I do know what Caraval is about because the whole premise is what intrigued me to get this book. It's about these 2 sisters, I believe, that get invited to go to Caraval, which is a very exclusive show, and you can only go if you are invited. But it happens to be part of this giant game where I believe one of the siblings goes missing or something and they have to try and save them. It's crazy. It sounds so cool. And these covers are beautiful. Whoever designed these, you're amazing. Good job. You got Tiffany's stamp of approval. These next 2 are a duology, a fantasy duology, which are really popular. I have to get the other series that takes place in the same world, but I wanted the duology first because it was less intimidating because it was 2 books. And that is 6 of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. I know this takes place in the Grisha world, and there's a whole trilogy before these even happen, but I was told you can read these before you can read the Grisha. They don't spoil each other. That's why I got this. I thought this would be a great jumping off point into this world, and then I could read the original trilogy, which I think is awesome. And I just love how they look. Look. Black pages, red pages, it's beautiful. It's just beautiful. I sometimes judge a book by its cover. I'm sorry. This next book is going to be one that's a little bit different. I've had this on my shelf for a very long time. I don't think I ever finished it. And this is The Bourne Identity by Robert Ludlum. This is a giant series, so I will say this one I probably will do interspersed here and there, but this isn't a series I'm expecting to just buy all the books all at once because it's a lot. I loved the movies. That's why I have Bourne Identity, because I loved the movies and I wanted to see how the book differed. I will probably complete the series, but it's gonna take a long time. Now this next book I was excited for, but also it hurt my completionist heart. This was a part of a series that I finished very long ago, but then they decided to release another book in it. This book is The Darkest Legacy by Alexandra Bracken. I loved the Darkest Mind series. It's kind of what got me into wanting to do a review channel, and it really started off my big giant book reading frenzy. I owe a lot to this series for just giving me my start and helping me find the booktube community, but I'm excited to read it. It's about these kids that randomly either they die or they end up getting these powers and the adults are scared of them and they have to go to concentration camps. Ruby is one of these kids and she ends up being an orange, which is very, very dangerous. Read the rest. These next few books are finishing a series as well. I read the first book and it ended up being really popular in my review for it. And I read it because it was a childhood book of mine that I had never read. All of a sudden I found out that it was an entire series. And that is the series... Oh, I dropped one of the books. Anne of Green Gables, Anne of Avonlea, Anne of the Island, Anne of Windy Populous, Anne's House of Dreams, Anne of Ingleside, Rainbow Valley, Rilla of Ingleside, and The Road to Yesterday. You are going to see a string of just Anne of Green Gables books. I remember there was a lot of stuff in the first book that I wanted to happen and that never happened, and I feel like it's going to happen in the rest of the series. It follows Anne, who is this orphan who gets adopted, and it's about her growing up. Very lighthearted. It's not super serious, though it may have its moments here and there. Definitely read these. These are awesome. These next books all take place in the same world. There's still more I have to get. Let's get them shown to you guys. The Bane Chronicles, The Shadowhunters Codex, Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy, Lady Midnight, Lord of Shadows, which is huge. Oh my gosh. And finally, I also have an illustrated history of notable shadow hunters and denizens of the downworld. I know there's like one or two more books I have to get. I have the side stories. I waited on those because I wanted to finish the main series first, which I finally did, and I have reviews for pretty much all of the books, so go check them out. And I'm excited to jump into this next part of it. These next two books are also completing a series I have started. I've read the first two books in this series. The first is Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas, and then also Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas, which is the final book in this series, which is crazy. I do have reviews on the first two books, so make sure to go check them out. This follows Selena, who is a criminal who has to compete in this competition to become the king's assassin. I don't want to spoil it for you. Just jump in like I did. It's so good. Last pile of books, ladies and gentlemen. This next book is a standalone. It is a contemporary. I got it because it's written by my favorite booktuber, Christine Riccio. She was the first one I came across. I keep up with her videos consistently. She's just awesome, and she motivated me to actually start book reviews as well, so thank you. She just released a book again, but better. It's her first ever book, and I wanted to read it because she's just awesome and seems like an awesome person. This next is a series that I got all at once, but it is by a very big fantasy author that I have not read a book by her yet, but I know this series is very, very, very popular as well. That is Daughter of Smoke and Bone series by Laini Taylor, which includes The Daughter of Smoke and Bone, Days of Blood and Starlight, and Dreams of Gods and Monsters. I do believe this starts to go more towards high fantasy, but oh my gosh, have I wanted to read this series forever. Super excited to get into the series, and it's completed, so I don't have to worry about any more books coming out. This next book is continuing to complete a series. I've only read the first book in it. I have the second book. This is the third one. I believe there's one or two more coming out. And this book is A Reaper at the Gates, which is the third book in the series, and Ember in the Ashes. And I got this at the last bookstore. Thanks to Eddie once again. That was the first time I ever had been to that store, and it's so cool. You should totally go if you haven't gone. It's amazing. It's by Saba Tahir, and the characters are just awesome. I don't want to spoil it for you. Go check it out. It's really, 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 really good. These next two books are also completing a series. This would be the end of the series. It's a trilogy. These are A Poison, Dark, and Drowning, and A Sorrow Fierce in Falling, which complete the Shadow Bright and Burning series by Jessica Cluess. The first book was really, really good, very interesting. I don't know if everyone would love it, but it was super fun, very intriguing. Go check it out. These next two are also rounding out a series. I wasn't going to get them, but then I realized that they actually were part of the series in full-length books. This actually completes the Maze Runner series, and these are The Kill Order and The Fever Code. Now these are prequels to the original Maze Runner series, and the completionist in me said you cannot not get these books. And I'm reading them after the main series because I don't want it to spoil anything for the main series, and it came out after it. Now this next book, I believe, is the start of a series, and it's by one of my favorite authors ever, and that is Brandon Sanderson. And this book is Skyward. This is his newest book. I had to get it, and I'm so excited because I've heard really great things about it, and I cannot wait. Don't tell me anything about it. I'm not spoiling myself. This is kind of completing a series. I have all the books out for it now. I haven't even started the series yet. And these books finish out the Outlander series for the books that are out right now. The fourth book, Drums of Autumn. The fifth book, The Fiery Cross. The sixth book, A Breath of Snow and Ashes. The seventh book, An Echo in the Bone. And finally, Written in My Heart's Own Blood. This is the last book that's out right now, and there's still more coming. Look how big these are. You know how big of a task this is going to be, but I'm actually really excited about it because I know it's going to be awesome. I'm so ready. I'm ready to take this on. All right, those are all the books I have gathered since my last book haul, guys. Thank you so much for joining me and sticking all the way through this, if you stuck all the way through this. If you have any book recommendations or movie recommendations, let me know. Have a wonderful day, evening, afternoon, night, whatever time of the day you're watching this in. Don't forget to be awesome. I'm not going to try and pick up all those books. I'm sorry. I would break my back. Goodbye! Whoa!